We may be live. Yep. Look at that. We got that going. Hold on. Let me test the audio for the
Were on
React.
cloud.
Okay. It works. Okay, good. We're here. We've crashed a couple of times already trying to get this going. If somebody in the chat room, if you're watching this or you can see this, go ahead and say something and let's see if it populates up into the chat window here on the screen because this is all about you. I am your Heavenly Father, or in this case, Heavenly Sharkler. And Liberty. Liberty is here. Okay, sweet. So we are on, we are rolling. And Phil said something. I am currently still banned from Twitter because I used a comma, and Twitter does not like commas. And to me, all commas matter, really. But they're still they. My first appeal, when you first appeal a comment, when you get suspended from Twitter, when you first appeal, they it was pretty quick. It was within a couple of hours and I appealed my comment, which is completely harmless. And they came back and said, "Yeah, no, that's abusive because you can't tell the vice president of the United States that you want to hang out. That is a federal crime." So then they said, "Go ahead and delete the tweet." So I had the option to appeal it again. That was Friday, May Friday. So it's been a week. On the second appeal, they're taking a week. I don't think anyone's going to look at it. They just want me to delete the tweet. But the trouble is, if you delete the tweet, the next time anything questionable happens, you could be suspended permanently from Twitter. Permanently. So I'm not really sure what to do. But right now, I don't have Twitter access. So good to see everybody here. Um, I am coming to you live from the Rusty Bed Studios, and I slept until 11 p.m. Yesterday was a long day of flight travel and flight delays. I love me some Southwest. I do. The trouble with getting from Southwest to from Burbank up to Seattle is that you have to take two flights. How many strikes do I have now? I don't know how Twitter doesn't tell you how many strikes or how many strikes. YouTube does like 3 strikes, your account suspended. Currently, I have no strikes on YouTube. I'm also demonetized on YouTube, so maybe I can look into that again. Again, this is a React video, which is complete. What we're going to do is we're going to watch some stuff. We're going to talk. We're going to have a town hall. We're going to react to said stuff. Said stuff might be owned by another property. For example, what I've got on the screen above me here is owned by Fox News Corp. Okay, but we are reacting to that. The news of the day, it's political, there's an agenda to it, and we will react to that, which is something that YouTube completely allows. If anyone from YouTube is watching this, that's what we're doing here today. So I'm coming to you from the Rusty Bed Studios up in Seattle, and I slept until 11 o'clock this morning after a long day of travel last night. This is without the aid of any narcotics, the sleep, by the way. I just slept, and I think it has a lot to do with the time change. But one way or the other, I'm awake now. So hi, Steph. Hi, Liberty. Hi, Cujo. Hi, Marcy. I saw you and your Phil's in here as well. Anybody else watching as well? We are right now. We're connected to a large screen TV. We've got me as a shark here, and you guys can't see anything else in the room because it's just a sunken ship, which you've watched. Nah, never mind. I don't want to get into that because that's too esoteric. Let's find out. Even though I had a wonderful sleep, I made it to Seattle. The big news is there are rapid tests available on Amazon. Two for $17.99 or something like that. I ordered them 2 days ago. They get here today. So there are rapid tests out there, folks. If you are going to gather with your friends and family, I plan on seeing my mom and dad, and I will take a rapid test before I see them. We're gonna we're gonna try and be safe. The rapid tests do detect Omicron, the newest variant that everyone is concerned with. Omicron will double in 3 days' time, so it's got a very, very, very high R naught as well, which is how contagious it is. I am, I am hesitant to believe that it is not as pathogenic as it's not as deadly as Delta. We'll see. I said right from the beginning, boy, it would be great if it was. We don't know if it can still result in long-term COVID. We don't know these things. We'll find out in time. But just be safe, people. Just be safe. Let's see. Let's see what important things the Fox and Friends are talking about this morning.
9. Every time I hear any of their songs.
What I just realized is I don't know if this is going to cause echo for you, so I'm going to play a little bit, and I might have to go get some headphones, which you can't see as a shark, but I'm not wearing any headphones currently, so I'm just going to play a little bit. And if there's echo, let me know.
It brings back that
Just
memory.
go across the river and you will meet a lot of Jersey boys, and it's free.
I know, but to do something nice for your parents after they've done so much for you just gives you satisfaction, and they had a great night. So thank you, Jersey boys.
Also, yeah, especially in South.
Okay, cool. I don't have to wear headphones. So here we go, guys. Let's. They're talking about, I don't know, a night of lighting a Christmas tree or something, the one that burned down. I don't know. Here we go. Fake Christmas tree. Here we are.
South Carolina, I cannot believe they like the Jersey boys with that attitude, that chip on their shoulder that they had. Number two is the one thing you took from that song, December.
It's the title.
But I'm thinking about what a night. I'm thinking to myself, what are we referring to? What
the
a
Christmas
night.
tree, what a night.
Yes, I'm just thinking that. And again, every day, I don't take anything for granted.
Okay, so they played the song December, otherwise known as "Oh What a Night." Da, 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 da.
It's still up. Right, not on fire.
That's right.
So I think that's great. So you got to count your blessings.
No one's getting close to that tree now.
Right. Yeah. Right.
We have lots
We
of
hired
guards out there.
the 4 giant linebackers that tackle anyone that gets close.
We relit it just a week ago today, and it is beautiful. It's at the crossroads of the world, 46th, rather 40.
Yeah, Fox has pretty much been ignoring the fact that Sean Hannity, Brian Kilmeade, the man you see on your right there, sitting to the left of Ainsley in the middle, and Laura Ingraham all tweeted Mark Meadows, the chief of staff of President Trump, on January 6th, urging the president to take action, and then later went on for months and months of denying that the president was in any way responsible for the gap. So not responsible for the attack, but could have stopped it and didn't for more than 3 hours, but not respond. He had nothing to do with President Trump. And they pretty much ignored that, except for saying that those people are heroes. Heroes for wanting to stop, I don't know, Antifa from attacking the Capitol, whatever that was. Of course, it's a complete contradiction. It makes them look like hypocrites, but it's nothing surprising. It's been several days of non-surprising news to me because with every text that comes out, oh, Jim Jordan texted something and it was about how to overthrow the government. Yeah, that's Jim Jordan. These are things we've known. The Fox video is choppy. Sorry, guys. I don't know what kind of, am I even attached to the internet? Hold on. Let's see. Am I just... yeah, we've got internets here. Let me do a quick speed test. I'll show you guys a speed test that isn't actually adjudicated by anybody. It is, if you want to see the real download speed that you're getting, speedtest.net is wonderful, except that there is some suspicion that different cable companies advertise with them in order to get them to fudge the numbers one way or the other. I don't know if that's true, but I do know that fast.com, if you're having trouble with your Netflix or whatever, fast.com, my son, who's a techie, says it's very accurate. And there we go. We're getting 48 megabytes, which is really good, 38 megabytes, etc. So just fast.com will get you, and it's powered by Netflix. And I don't know if that means that Netflix scores look better, but 50 megabytes. So we should be getting through good throughput here. I do notice that my shark mouth right now is not up to speed as well, which could throw you off. I don't know. So everything's being jerky right now, including your host. So we'll go back to Fox and Friends, and it's just going to be extremely jerky.
7th and 6th Avenue.
Only cost the company $5.
Okay, we were buffering for a second there. Thanks, Steph, for pointing that out. Hi, babe. And hopefully that calms down because I stopped using fast. And no, now we're heading in a death spiral. And let me turn off fast.com. I might have just killed our broadcast. Come on, stop. 6%, 6.1. Oh, no. Now we're spiraling. Come on, come back. Guys, sorry. Steph, it's not just you. The broadcast is having problems. Come on, why? Why? Okay, we're green. Okay, here we go. Let's hit while the hitting's good.
$500,000, which brings us to
inflation.
Thank you.
In order to light your Christmas tree, it's much more expensive because your energy bill has gone up. Your gasoline has gone up. Everything at the grocery store has gone up. It's inflation nation.
Right. And what I can't believe, too, is the Wharton Business School looked at inflation and said, okay, it's a 39-year high.
Friends, a quick reminder, do not light your Christmas tree with gasoline. Terrible idea.
We know those numbers. It's costing every family $3,500. We get it. But guess what? They did the numbers. They said, according to the Wharton School or the University of Pennsylvania, inflation's hurting the low income harder because they spend more money on energy. And
well, duh. The folks at Wharton had to do that study. Inflation, everything hits the low income harder. Duh.
the energy sector's been hurt the worst, and the service sector is usually where the middle and upper class use, from Uber Eats to going out. That's where they have the least effect. So how unfair is this?
Well, can we put that number up one more time?
That's the basic capitalist system, Brian. Very unfair. Let's talk about your tweets on January 6th, will we?
Because while Joe Biden says that nobody's going to be impacted by his policies if you make less than $400,000 a year, the average
He's never said that. He's never said anything close to that.
U.S. household is going to have to spend $3,500 this year just to keep pace with inflation. That's at 6%. That's baked into the cake. For low-income families, it's going to be 7%. And because of all of the inflation problems, and we're all feeling it, that's why yesterday the Fed announced they're going to be raising interest rates.
And where's it worse? In the middle of the country, in Republican states. That's where inflation is worse. So yeah, and where do a lot of low-income people live? In Republican states, because wages are low. How do you fix this? You raise wages. Inflation, very, very good for the business sector, even though they're paying more for the cost of goods, etc. But inflation is a natural sign that there's not enough demand or not enough supply for your demand. That's how inflation works. It really, over time, they've looked at it, and the amount of money going in to the economy, it doesn't really affect inflation that much. Every time interest rates have been lowered, inflation's going to go up. Every time there's been some sort of surplus package from the government, inflation's going to go up. And it hasn't happened for 30 years. Now we have a supreme downturn in the demand for almost an entire year because of COVID, and now the demand is back up. But production is not there to meet it. It's supply and demand. We had a rescue package back in 2008. You remember Obama got into office in 2009, and Joe Biden pushed through this rescue package that turned the economy around, and suddenly we started growing. From 2010 on, the economy was in a boom. It was a very nice, slow, controlled boom. We didn't have inflation. We had $1 trillion going into the economy from the federal government over time, but no inflation. And everyone's screaming, including Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin was there. Joe Manchin should know this. Very little effect on inflation. The effect on inflation is primarily one thing: demand without enough supply. That's it. It's really simple.
Probably starting in mid-March, they're going to raise the interest rates 3 times next year, a quarter point every time.
Gosh, so buy a house right now if you're planning on it, because interest rates are going to
go. Okay, well, right now there is a severe housing shortage. Over the next 3 to 6 months, you're going to get a whole bunch of homes coming on the market because people are going to be evicted and landlords are going to decide to sell those properties. Plus, you've got a whole bunch of people in forbearance, some of which haven't been able to pay their bills. Now the forbearance period is over. That's when you don't have to pay your mortgage for a while. There's programs that have been doing that. Those are done. Those will be phased out over the next few months. We know there's about 400,000 houses in this country that are not being paid for, and those houses will start flooding into the market. So that being said, there's still a housing shortage. We don't know if the price of houses will come down or not. But yeah, with inflation going up a quarter point, it's another, depending on how expensive your house is, but it could be another $10 a month. It could be another $50 a month, depending on how expensive your house is. But it's not the end of the world to pay a quarter point more for your mortgage when the mortgages are already at historical lows. Well, historic. Go ahead. There we go. Yes? No? We might be dead. Let's try it again.
So the bottom 20%.
If you can find a house.
Right, that's true. You can up here, but not down in Florida.
Because you're at the top of the market.
The bottom 20% of income earners who's affected the most, they saw their expenses go up by 7%, 6.8% to $2,120 per household. If you're in the top bracket, the top 5%, you saw a 6.1% increase, or almost $8,000 per household.
Okay, let's say you're in that bottom percent or the lower income bracket. Do you have any kids? Because if you've got a kid, you're getting 250 a month. So that's what? That's 1,000. That's $4,000 a year. You're covered. Just have a kid. Now that doesn't mean that everybody in the lower income bracket has a kid, but per household, if you're talking about households, a lot of households have kids. And 90 million kids are getting checks. At least their parents are getting checks on a monthly basis, 250 or $300. You got two kids, now you're talking about 8 grand a year. You can afford the 3,500. See how that works? That's taken care of. So, are people hurting that much? No, because if people were hurting that much, they wouldn't be quitting their jobs in record numbers. They feel okay. Oh, the economy in general, oh, it's terrible, says everybody, because they look and that's all they hear. But it's just a facade. Yes, there are a number of things that cost more. Yeah, that's the way it works. When you factor in, for example, they were talking about basic household goods, not, oh, they're costing more. Yeah, a used car is up 30%. Hey, you know what? Don't buy a used car right now if you can help it. I don't know. I've bought, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 used cars in my life, and I'm 50 years old. 30 of which would have been so much, what probably average one every 7 years for a used car. So I'm not buying a used car right now. That's how I'm handling that part of it. Oh, and bacon. Bacon is up 25%. So don't eat bacon for a little while or buy bacon on sale. I found bacon for really cheap because I usually don't buy bacon. It's not the best thing for you. But I last night at the airport in Sacramento, where I stuck for 4 hours because the flight was delayed, I went to Vino Volo and I had some kind of wrap, some breakfast wrap that was actually delicious, and it had bacon in it, and it was $16, which is what it would cost anytime. Anyway.
Middle income earners, which is where most people are, saw an increase in expenses, spending $4,351 more this year, which is an increase of almost 7%.
And that's just to keep pace. It's to be at exactly the same place you were
think about
last
that.
year. It's not to get ahead. It's simply so you don't fall behind. The average family will have to pay $3,500 this year just to stay where you were last year in 2020.
It's an added tax. So that's
No, last year you were huddled in your home because there were no tests available and you wanted to go places, but the coronavirus was raging and there were no vaccines. This year, you're not in the same place. For example, I am in the Rusty Bed Studios.
It's absolutely a tax.
How much is taken out of your paycheck for taxes? Well, this is an additional almost 7%.
So the Fox.
I remember last year Christmas. Well, I actually don't remember last year Christmas, but I think it was right around Christmas that what was Christmas last year? No, Christmas I was in LA last year, but before Christmas, the opportunity for me to visit my parents was we would go and park in the driveway and they would come out their front door and we would talk to each other over a distance of about 20 feet or so. That was last year because nobody had vaccines yet.
Business did a poll, and we appreciate it. They asked the question, has inflation caused you financial hardship over the last 6 months? Look at that, 67% say it has.
Well, yeah, everybody buys gas. Gas has gotten more expensive. How about we get the country off the gas standard? Wouldn't it be great if we could power the country off of hydroelectric and solar and wind and renewable energy? Guess what? We can.
They also on getting inflation under control. Is Joe Biden hurting or helping? 47% said he is hurting. Only 22% said he is helping. So that is pretty substantial. Larry Kudlow is really good at math. That's why Donald Trump hired him, and then we hired him after that.
And the 28% who says he's making no difference, those are the people that actually know what's happening. The president does not control inflation. There's some things you can do. He opened up the strategic oil reserve. Gas prices dropped a little bit. But for the most part, presidents don't affect the economy. The exception, President Trump, who had all kinds of tariffs issued throughout his presidency and ended up putting, before COVID, ended up putting United States manufacturing into contraction because of his tariffs. And what's the root cause for much of this inflation? The lack of supplies because of tariffs. This was happening before Biden was even elected.
You know who beat inflation
Oh, and
forecasters?
by the way, it's unfortunately we're looking at inflation compared to last year at this time. So October of 2020, when demand was extremely low, you really should be looking at 2 years ago. COVID, if Trump can use COVID as an excuse to, oh, I had the greatest economy ever until the virus came here. Yeah, well, the virus was here before Biden got here, but now we're comparing inflation to last year, which is what we do. But a more fair comparison would be to 2 years ago.
Around the country, the best #1 inflation forecaster, Senator Joe Manchin, numero uno.
Boy, the Republicans just love Joe Manchin now. He's a hero.
I don't even know if he talks to economists. But since last
Leslie says it's not an added tax; it's essentially a tax refund of what you've paid and coming back to you. $250 a month per kid. Yeah, if you have a kid, what is it? Under 6 is 300. Over 6 is 250. I think. I don't have any kids in that age range right now, so I could be incorrect on that, but I'm fairly accurate.
winter, when the $2 trillion Democrat so-called relief package was implemented, Joe Manchin
Well,
has
it was so-called relief package because it was a relief package. Yeah.
been warning about inflation. And that's why he has argued consistently all year that Biden's big government socialist bill should be paused until inflation is clearly falling, which, by the way, it is not.
Another one of the
Right, but it is transitory. Eventually, it will slow down. In fact, last month it slowed down over the previous month, but nobody's talking about that.
findings from the Fox Business poll was when queried registered voters, what do you think the major reason for the labor shortage is? To Larry's point, they said the big government benefits. Then
No, the big government benefits are over. They're done. Remember how the Republican states, the 19 of them, stopped the $300 a month extra for the unemployed? Remember how they put a kibosh on that and said, we're just not going to give that money out anymore back in the summer? And then that all ended for everybody September 4th. So there's no more. And the states that stopped those payments, their job growth was slower than the states that continued the payments. Ah, always the Republicans will try and hurt the little guy, and it always backfires.
this question is very telling. Have you been helped or hurt by Joe Biden's economic policies?
So the lowest income bracket is being hurt the most by inflation. Yes, of course, that's the way it works. So, what are you doing to help the lowest income bracket? Go ahead, tell me about your socialism program that's going to help the people that need the help the most. What are you doing? Go ahead, Fox and Friends. Let me know. Brian, you must have some ideas.
Only 17%.
Brian's just staring off into space. I don't know if it's big enough on your screen, but he's just staring at nothing, blinking a few times.
Say they have been helped, and 40% say they have been hurt.
Joe Manchin deserves a huge credit because Joe Biden was about to bury this country with his Build Back Better plan, another $2 trillion. If you do the math and play it out over 10 years.
Bury this country with childcare for people who want to get back into the labor force. Bury it. We can't find any employees. Well, who's the biggest sector of that? Working moms. Well, let's get them back into the workforce because they're not working moms because they're taking care of their kids. Oh, well, no, we can't help them with that, though. They got to figure that out. Well, how come there's not enough people working in the childcare industry? Well, because the wages are incredibly low. Across the country, whatever the minimum wage is, that's what your people are paid for watching your child. We're buffering again, folks, and we're back. Okay.
4.4 trillion. Yesterday, he made it clear and used an expletive that he's, and the word is from the Hill and others, that he's broken off talks. He's not doing it this year. Without Joe Biden, you don't have Build Back Better. And Kirsten Sinema said, oh, yeah, on that blowing up the filibuster in order to pass federalizing elections, I told you I'm not into that. Those two senators are saving the country.
Energy prices up 33.3.
So 2 Democratic senators are saving the country. So, someone record that or something, because at some point he'll be blaming the Democratic senators.
3% year over year. Gas prices up 58.1% higher than last year. Food prices up 6.1%, and used car and truck prices up 31%. My brother wanted
Don't buy a used car or truck right now. There you go.
to buy a car. He said you have to get on a list to get a new car, and he said I'm trying to buy a used car, but you can't get them. And if I wanted to sell my 2 cars right now, he and his wife's cars, he said I could make like 30% more. I would make a mint.
Yes, that's how it works. But then you wouldn't have your cars. Yeah, yes, I know. That's okay. So you sell your car and you make 30% more for your car, and then you have to buy another car and you pay 30% more for that other car. So 30% versus 30%. Okay. All right. Use cars, people.
He said the problem is if I sold those and made the profit and wanted to use those to buy another car, there are no cars to buy.
Right.
There are lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of cars to buy. I've been looking at cars right now. There are a ton of cars out there. There's just not a lot of, because people are selling their used cars, families with 2 or 3 cars, or maybe you got a car for your kids or whatever. They're selling that extra car because right now the market is demanding and offering more for that extra car. But if you're looking for a car, you're going to be buying that extra car for more. That's the way the market works. This is capitalism. Why does Fucks and Friends hate capitalism so much?
Buying a horse. I mean, that's really what we should go back to. Think about that for a second.
But Brian, do you know
the
the cost of hay is through the roof?
See, I didn't figure that.
Oh, okay. Brian's saying is maybe go back to riding a horse. Okay. It's because horses are so cheap.
See, the problem, and this comes down to, Joe Biden was hired a year ago to be president of the United States because he said he was going to help get us out of the pandemic. Well, you know what? The administration so badly botched the recovery. Americans were...
No. The actual economy is doing great. We are the only growth economy in the G7. All of the other countries are struggling with. The Bank of England just raised interest rates. They did it already because of rampant inflation in Great Britain. It's happening everywhere. This is a worldwide phenomenon. This is not Joe Biden. We have an interconnected global economy, and inflation is hitting every single country on the planet. It's a supply chain problem because there's huge demand because we're coming out of the coronavirus pandemic. People are feeling better after being vaccinated a couple of times, of going out and being human beings again. That's what's going on.
Down for over a year, and suddenly there's such demand for so much stuff, and that's why there are these supply chain problems. And I know
This is what I just said. Sorry. Oh, so go ahead. Steve is sort of the voice of reason on the panel, but the other two won't listen to what he's actually saying, and they'll blame Biden.
Trying to gloss over, there aren't as many ships waiting right outside the port. That's because now they're waiting 150 miles out. There's still the same number of ships out there. But the problem with cars is no chips because they make them over there. Luckily, some American businesses are wising up, and they're going to start making some in Texas and also in Florida and across the country. So this will never happen again. But this is...
Right. This is what Trump said he was going to do and didn't. And now, because the market is driving it, no pun intended, that's what's happening, which is good. We need chips made in this country. We've been saying that for a long time. We need more access to rare earth elements because China controls that market.
Where we were at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah, her first name is Ainsley, and that is a name in Liberty. She's not the only Ainsley on the planet. I've run into a few.
With, hey, where do we get an N95 mask?
Right.
Oh, China.
Right.
Because they're the only people that make the fabric.
And by the way, what has he done to rectify our supply chain issues that we're focused on because we couldn't get anything? We've done nothing. If you want to pay more...
Okay, we were able to get things. We are still able to get things. The supply chain has been addressed, and the supply chain is getting markedly better. I don't know what things you're not able to get. I'm not sure. Like, I have no idea how much a dildo costs and what the availability is, Brian. But there are things out there. I have been to stores and purchased things. I just bought a bunch of things online to give to people for Christmas. There are things available. By the way, the shipping and the trucking, everything has gotten better in the last couple of months, some of which is attributable to the changes that Joe Biden has made.
Or if I would pay more. And
the other thing, this is interesting. There was a backup of containers at the LA harbors, because you used to take the containers back and just sit them, and they were impeding progress. They were impeding the unloading. They were impeding the dropping off. They were impeding things. So what the port said was, hey, any container left here longer than X amount of time, we're going to start charging you for the storage. And the problem was halved in a few days, because trucking companies were like, oh crap, we can't just dump our containers there anymore. We better do something about this. You gave them an incentive, and the problem was addressed and taken care of. We have a shortage of truckers in this country. What a study said is that, hey, you know what? If we can cut down loading times by 12 minutes, if we can improve the infrastructure, read infrastructure bill, if we can improve it by 12 minutes per loading, we've alleviated the problem. We have enough truckers. Plus, you've got, you're dealing with 25 to 30 million people in the automotive industry, in the transportation industry. They're not going to have jobs in a few years. So do you want to hire a whole bunch of people and bring them into the market and make them dependent on that as their source of income, and then replace them with robots in a few years? Do you want to do that? These are all difficult questions.
I think so many others would, if it was helping to bring the supply chain back to America, pharmaceuticals, the masks, everything, when possible. But there's been no movement on that, no condemnation of the people that caused this strife, and that is the Chinese government and that Wuhan lab. And lastly, I think it's important.
No. We do not know that it was the Wuhan lab. What we know is that none of the strains that we've identified associated with the Wuhan lab, none of the strains have the markers indicative of the strain of COVID-19 that we all caught. Okay, none of them. We have, at this point, suspicions, but absolutely no evidence that our COVID-19 came out of the Wuhan lab in China.
Important to bring up.
But by the way, there's 2 labs there. So anybody who talks about a single lab in Wuhan, they don't know what they're talking about.
That the country is further divided from the small business to the small family on mask mandates.
Small family? What the hell is he talking about? Like a guy and his dog? Is that a small family? Where's he going with the small family? Small business, that's a thing.
And vaccine mandates, regardless of where you stand, one way or the other. The president has gone all in on mandates. The other half of the country is all offended by that, and now
the other half of the country. The majority of the country, by the way, supports vaccine mandates. We now have 70%, or sorry, we have over 60% of people who are fully vaccinated.
Business is in the middle, from restaurants to gyms. They're tearing each other's eyes out.
I'll tell you what's happening in New York.
No one is tearing people's eyes out. Do not panic. No one is running around middle America tearing people's eyes out.
Because the city, they've said you can't take your kids into a show, you can't take your kids into a restaurant, you can't take them into anywhere unless they have had their first shot by December 14th.
Right.
Second, I think everyone has to be fully vaccinated by the 27th. What's happening? They're beating us down now. So all the parents are calling their physicians and saying, what do you think? Do you think it's okay to give the shot to my child? Mm-hmm. Because we want to have a normal life. So they're forcing you to do it because you want your kids to have a normal life, but you might not agree with the vaccine, but they're beating you down. You can't do anything.
I know. Now, soon
they're beating you down by not allowing your 5-year-old into a Broadway show. Yeah. The government is raping us. They are raping our kids orally because they cannot go to TGI Fridays.
They're going to start beating us down with booster 3, and then there'll be
beating us down with boosters. They're jamming them down our throats.
A variant that'll be 4, and now every week we'll be just getting a different shot every day in order to, I don't know, be able to go to the local Fridays down the block.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is
Didn't I just say TGI Fridays? Yep. What I was doing was hyperbole. I picked the most ridiculous example of living a normal life that I could come up with to take your kids to. And I came up with TGI Fridays in my mind because it's a silly restaurant. They have good ribs. I enjoy TGI Fridays. Nothing wrong with TGI Fridays. I like me some onion rings or whatever other fried appetizers they have there. I don't know. It's been years. But I picked that as the most ludicrous example of the hyper-inflated worry of the fucks and friends, and he went right to it. So I agree.
Now, as the president and the administration are talking about, the Omicron variant is really coming back. It's roaring, and hospitalizations are way up across the country.
The Omicron variant is coming back. It's roaring.
People still have to be careful.
But not hospitalizations for the Omicron virus. It's right now a minimum.
Well, the hospitalizations are a lagging indicator. Okay, so that if hospitalizations in this country are going to start spiking, it's going to be in about 2.5 to 3 weeks. So we'll see. But hospitalized different hospital chains across the country. Remember, this is a big country. Different areas of the country are having hospitalization spikes. Michigan, Kentucky, New Hampshire, Maine. There are different areas in this country that are having a lot of problem keeping the staff up. 25% of the patients in any given area have COVID-19, and that's a strain that isn't normally there. And these people have been going nonstop for more than a year. You're burning people out. But we got to go to Fridays.
It's the Delta.
Yeah,
they're seeing
not the Omicron.
A huge increase in Delta, but they're not also testing. They're not testing every single strain to see which one it is.
If you get the Omicron virus, be prepared for a runny nose. Coming up straight ahead is crime
or death. We don't know. We don't know yet. Yes, hopefully, like I said from day one, hopefully Omicron is not quite as contagious, or not quite as deadly as Delta. We can pray, but we aren't sure of that yet because we have a very small subset of the world. Really, the information is coming out of South Africa. UK is spreading some information now. Israel's done some studies on information. What are those countries doing? They are locking down.
Spikes in San Francisco. Desperate residents are keeping their cars unlocked and trunks open. I'm not kidding, to avoid having windows smashed. But Nancy Pelosi still claims she doesn't know what's causing the crime surge.
And our vaccine mandates.
I just had my window smashed in my car in Seattle. I should sell it because I heard that used cars are on fire right now. I couldn't get anything for this car. In fact, the last time I checked at the auction, they were going to offer me $250 for it. The back window is going to cost about $300 to fix. So, but it's worth it to me to have a running car. When I say running, it's a very loose term. But anyway, my son is going to be using that car because he sold his car a while back before the boom. Should have waited.
Giving criminals a get-out-of-jail-free card. We're going to talk to an Arizona official who says they might have to start releasing inmates.
Oh, hold on. Stop. We can't play a song. I don't want to get a copyright strike. Let's see if there's somebody in a diner or something here. They're going to attack Pelosi right now. Let's see what they're going to attack Pelosi about. Okay, here we go.
Liberal cities did exactly that.
Oh, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to watch the press conference. Let's see if it's live yet. Give me a second. I have to do it down here. And is it on yet? And it's going to begin shortly. If anybody has YouTube or C-SPAN or something opened, and they can keep an eye on the press conference with Jen Psaki, let me know. Hi, Sean. I saw somebody, Libby's in here. Babe was in here. Okay, and let's go back to the other thing we were watching here. Let's see what Nancy Pelosi's doing to kill the country, shall we? Is she buying another $25 million mansion in Florida that doesn't exist?
That is what has caused so many police departments to be short-staffed. That's why so many prosecutors...
What?
Protests were on the streets of America demanding to defund the police, and a lot of big liberal cities did exactly that. That is what has caused so many police departments...
No, very, very few cities actually defunded the police. There were changes to the police department in some cities, but that's not what spurred crime. The criminals do not look at the number of police on the street and decide, yeah, I'm going to break into a car or not. Yeah, hey, guess what? We can go into these stores in a gang of us. not loosely affiliated, finding each other over social media, and 40 of us can smash and grab, and we can just run out. And the shopkeepers, they're not going to stop us. They don't want to die for an iPhone or a piece of jewelry. Yeah, they're just figuring this out. This is part of living in a society. This is one of the dangers of living in a free society is that, yeah, that tactic actually works pretty well. Unfortunately, a lot of them are getting caught for them, unfortunately for them. But yeah, this will be a fad. This will come and go like everything else.
To be short-staffed. That's why so many prosecutors have put no consequences in crime. It's so clear.
That's nonsense. I actually, a good friend of mine is a DA, and what he's saying there is complete nonsense.
Clear to so many of us.
We need more prisons. I mean, yeah, part of the prison industrial complex, yeah, but prisons keep bad people off the street. And you know who's committing the crimes? Bad people. But oh no, we can't build more prisons. No one wants to build more prisons. All right, well, okay. Then the bad people are going to be doing bad things because they're bad people.
What is causing this crime outbreak, except to the Speaker of the House? She can't figure out where it's coming from.
Why were they not asking these questions last year when crime skyrocketed under Trump? Where were the questions then? Because Nancy Pelosi was still in office then. Was it her fault then?
Watch.
It's absolutely outrageous. Obviously, it cannot continue. But the fact is that there is an attitude of lawlessness in our country that springs from I don't know where. Maybe you do. And we cannot have that lawlessness become the norm. This isn't like somebody stealing something to go home because they don't have the money to buy. This is about stealing for profit. They have to prove where it came from. It's outrageous, and it must. I agree with the mayor. It must be stopped. But it's not just San Francisco. It's in our entire country.
No, it's in the Democratic-run cities that wanted to defund police, and now
No. It's everywhere. It's not just democratically run cities.
they're seeing the consequences of that. And she's only making these comments because a Democratic mayor of San
That's nice to have. You got your giant screen with your Speaker of the House. Crime where he's confused. You're saying she's confused about it. I don't know that she's confused. She says she doesn't know, but it's framed nicely by two Christmas trees. You can see. You guys can see one on either side there. I can make, but trust me, the Christmas trees are there. So that's nice. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Francisco finally stepped up to the plate and said her name's London Breed and pushed to crack down on crime. And now Nancy Pelosi thinks that's her window to now go after crime because no one has talked about it. Everyone's been silent. They wanted to defund. They want no bail.
No, people have been talking about crime.
They want to empty out our prisons, and this is what you get.
Right.
And who wanted to empty out the prisons? Who kept bragging that he had the crime relief bill and the prison reform and the bail and blah, blah, blah? President Trump. And they tried to pass this for years. They couldn't pass it until I got into office. And now we have all the second chancers.
Watching Bill Bratton last night with Martha, last afternoon, and he said, listen, I don't care what the mayor says. I don't even care what the police chief says. It's going to come down to the DA because they're not prosecuting anything. Because cops aren't going to do anything if you...
Just terrible. Just terrible. But what do? Do you put cops at every single door in a mall? I mean, yeah, okay. Security guards can't do anything. They're going to get shot. They don't get paid enough.
You're going to have the cashless bail, and that...
I mean, do we have to make all the counters out of plexiglass that you can't break? You do that, and they're going to start using guns. They're going to make the people open up the cabinets.
Going to get backed up on the streets, so you could put more cops on the streets. They'll take your money if you could get it.
I've been to areas of the world where there are gates that you have to come through. And if something happens in the store, they just lock the gates. Like at a zoo where you pay your fee and then you got to go through that weird round thing, the metal churn roundabout thing that you can get stuck in if you're a little kid and you're me. But they have those in stores in different parts of the world where crime is high. And if something happens at a jewelry store, lots of jewelry stores have them, where if somebody tries to take something, guess what? The buzzer's pushed and then the door's locked. And no one can get out.
fill out an academy, but if you don't empower them, it is useless. And he would know. He turned around Los Angeles as well as turning around New York City. In New York City, in particular, murders were up 50%. In Chicago, just
That's November 20th. This one is November 16th.
an example of how bad it is in rich areas. There was a smash and grab twice in the same day at Nordstrom's. And in terms of
It's Nordstrom. Nordstrom. It's not plural. It's just Nordstrom.
San Francisco, you're looking at a situation.
That's November 22nd. This is all old footage. The footage from the kiosk, the one that we were talking about originally, that was Tuesday.
Where there's 8,000 homeless. What do you mean she doesn't understand what happened to the city? She's been living in the city for 5-6 decades.
I
the
don't
most
know that.
powerful Democrat for the last.
I don't know that all those people are homeless because they get in cars and drive away. So I'm not really convinced, Brian, that San Francisco has the smash and grab problem because of the homeless people.
25 years, she could have changed things. Whatever you want to say about Chuck Schumer, he ferries too much money to New York. She ferries almost nothing to her people. At the same time, doesn't do anything for law and order because she's high and mighty on a hill, and her husband's a billionaire, mysteriously, as she becomes speaker twice.
Well, in San Francisco.
Mysteriously? I mean, the guy has a job and he gets paid money, and that's capitalism. So I don't know why that's mysterious.
You know, the police there, because in addition to the smash and grab, there are also so many people are getting their cars broken into because apparently thieves now have a device where they can just drive by your house and they can tell if you've got a laptop in the trunk. There's a smash and grab right there. Well, you know, the police.
Do they? If your laptop is on, you could detect a Wi-Fi signal. But do the thieves have a magic device that tells if there's a laptop in your trunk? That's kind of cool, actually.
Have said don't leave anything in your car, and that includes don't tuck anything under the seat, which of course everybody does. But now San Francisco residents are taking don't break into their cars and break their windows, so
those people breaking the windows on that car, those are police officers. They're apparently arresting somebody.
leaving the windows rolled down and the trunks open and the cars unlocked so the thieves don't break into their cars and steal stuff. But here's the problem. Then
my car is unlocked. My car in Seattle is unlocked. So that hopefully if somebody wants something in there, there's nothing in there. There's some old hockey sticks that I don't even use anymore. So they broke my window and they pulled the hockey sticks out. Surprisingly, the homeless people in Seattle don't want the hockey sticks. Apparently it's all homeless people that are doing this. So waiting. Oh, we're buffering too. We're getting slow internet, people. Sorry. Waiting. Keep the people waiting. And we might be dead. Yeah, we're spiraling here, folks. I don't know if anyone can hear me anymore. I think I'm going to lose the broadcast. Guys, it's been fun. If anyone's watching this at the end, right? We're dying.
they can still.
Oh, we're back.
The car's wide open. You can steal the battery. You can steal the tires. You can take the stuff out of the glove compartment that shows where you live. This is the situation. This is life in San.
Okay, but if the car is parked where you live, the thieves know where you live. And you can take stuff out of your glove compartment as well. Last week, Heavenly Daughter had a window that wouldn't go up, and the first thing I said was take everything out of the glove box. It has identification on it. Put it in a bag. Carry that bag inside. When you go back to the car, bring that bag with you. Anyway, we fixed that. We fixed that issue.
Francisco right now, people are leaving their cars.
I don't know that there's a lot of battery theft going on. But maybe. I don't know. I just don't know how valuable car batteries are. I mean, I know you can bring them back and get $5 for the core if you take them to an O'Reilly's. But I don't know that that's a huge issue. But yeah. And, they can steal the tires. Yeah, you can steal the tires on any car. The tires are not locked from the inside. The tires are on the exterior of the vehicle, Steve.
Wide open. They're taking the keys out, but wide open.
San Francisco, the break-ins of cars up 32%. Yeah. Oakland, California, up 27%.
From when?
And the Oakland interim deputy police chief said,
Brian's having a good laugh about this. 27% in Oakland.
imagine having to clean out your car and leaving it open in public just so people won't break your windows.
Right. I used to thought the
Yeah, that's America, baby.
thing in the 80s when they said no car radio because everyone kept stealing your radio.
Remember you
was a
pull
big
out
deal.
your radio?
Yeah.
I had a handle on mine. I
I
pull
know.
it out.
Benzie box.
Yeah, need a backpack to go go to the deli, take all your belongings, pictures, everything. Meanwhile, on an unrelated story, the University of Pennsylvania's got a swim team. And I'm not saying they have a great swim team, but one thing that stands out, they have a swim team with a transgender swimmer. First name is Leah, and he was a highly recruited...
She.
But he was a highly recruited athlete and an outstanding swimmer in high school, became a woman.
I can't tell if Ainsley's trying to correct him there or what's going on, but she's saying something.
And it continues to swim, and it's destroying all the competition. Well, on her team, must be such outrage. Parents have written, 10 sets of parents have written to the NCAA asking for a change in policy because she is literally, pun intended, lapping the field.
She broke 2 national records, and she beat her teammate out of first place by 38 seconds. And the parents are saying they don't want their names out there. We don't know who they are.
They're scared.
And their kids, they said, they're all talking about it on, in the team, but they don't want their names out there. They don't want the coach to know or anyone to know which players are having a problem with this because they are scared about repercussions.
Leah Thomas.
Are swimmers players? Swimmers are just swimmers, right? They're not really players. Teammates, but they're not players. You don't play swimming, do you? Am I wrong there? It's not a big thing.
Was born male, and now she competes against female athletes. She was able to switch from the male team to the female team after completing a year of hormone treatments, which is how the NCAA, the regulations read right now. So these parents are outraged, and they want to hear from the NCAA. And the Daily Mail spoke to a number of them. And part of their letter reads like this. At stake here is the integrity of women's sports.
Yes. The
precedent being set, one in which women do not have a protected and equitable space to compete, is a direct threat to female athletes.
I agree 100%. Let's stop with all these women's sports. Knock it off, women. Know your place. Thanks, parents.
Every sport. What are the boundaries? How is this in line with NCAA's commitment to providing a fair environment for student athletes? UPenn sent, apparently, according to the Daily Mail, a terse response to the parents who wrote the letter, claiming that the school is doing what it can to help student athletes navigate Leah's success, and then shared a link to a mental health services.
The parents said we're paying $80,000 a year for our kids to go to school there.
And of course the University of Pennsylvania, that's non-athletes who don't know what it's like to compete and try to be successful and then find out the game is rigged against you. That letter was sent...
What? Non-athletes? Who is he? I don't know who he's talking about.
December 5th, the NCAA has yet to respond. Knowing them, they probably won't because they feel as though they can't win. I will say this, I think...
I don't know the answer to this. I mean, apart from getting rid of women's sports, which is, I mean, that's obvious, right? If it's University of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania University, Penn State, whatever it is, I wasn't really paying that much attention. It's the University of Pennsylvania. Where are the home ec classes? That's all I'm saying.
Since when do women's sports not matter? I mean, the women's national team, soccer, doesn't get paid as much as the men's national team. It's an internet...
Right. And you guys were merciless on Reagan Rapinoe and everybody else. You attacked the U.S. women's soccer team over and over and over for standing up for their own rights. But, now we got a guy swimming. Oh, we can't have a guy swim. Oh, Jesus, people.
National cause of inequity. Let's have protest and kneeling. Now you have a group of...
Now we're going on to Colin Kaepernick. Okay, so this is about Colin Kaepernick, the transgendered athlete in amateur sports because of some trophies. Now we're going to attack Colin Kaepernick. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's see where we go.
Ivy League athletes, Ivy League athletes, top athletes, who just want
Ivy League athletes are not top athletes, but go on.
a chance to be successful and can't with these current rules. Nothing against the transgender swimmer, but it's not fair to the others. Does that matter?
One of the Penn swimmers on the team said that everybody is frustrated, but the coach just likes winning. And winning they are, because so far she has won two championships and is headed for the national championships in the female swimming
There's a lot of
category
pressure on the coaches.
in March of 2022.
A lot of pressure on coaches to have a winning team.
So anyway, that's something that's going on in the world of sports.
Right. Yes, that probably affects you. We've seen this over and over again, not just in college, at Ivy League school.
Something for you to be outraged by that doesn't affect your life in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. It's not like the Fox viewership is out there watching swimming championships from college. Coming up next on Fox, the National Butterfly Stroke 200 Finals. Yeah, I'm not. I'm visiting Seattle right now, so I'm at the Rusty Bed Studios, and no, I don't have wired internet, but I have quite the setup here. Actually, it's lovely. There's a bed with a new mattress behind me. You guys can't see that because I got the shark eye going. Hold on, let's see. Let's change things up a little bit. You guys can get sort of a glimpse into my world right now. I was gonna. Let's see if we got some. Let's see. I didn't wake up until like 11 this morning, so I look like crap, but I don't care. Let's see what happens here. Let's see. And I want something with some snowflakes, but this might be the best that I've got. Go ahead. Go ahead, snap camera, cam. And okay, so that works out really well. There we go. Yeah. And so there's oh yeah, no, my computer's super slow today. There's the new mattress there at the Rusty Bed Studios. This is my walking stick right there. There's the foot. I strapped that on. It looks like a peg leg. I walked up to I went to see one of my daughter's hockey games, and my team happened to play right before that. And they saw me walking up, and half the team thought I had my leg amputated. So they were very concerned about the whole thing. But I think we're okay. And let's, I like this one. Let's make this a favorite. I'm not sure how to do that, but yeah. Oh, and it doesn't do it. All right, let's get back to the Foxes here.
But around the country. But I think women's sports matter.
Of course they
do. It's outrageous.
All right. Meanwhile, let's go back to the topic we were talking about a moment ago. Dangerous criminals may get out of jail free if corrections officers don't get vaccinated before the new year. The safety threat it's posing to one Arizona county that may start releasing inmates on the street. You like that?
Sounds like New York.
We'll be right back.
Well, where else would you release the inmates? Like in the mountains? I don't know. I don't know why on the street has to do with anything. This filter is not very good at reacting to what I'm doing, but it's moving around with me, so I'm happy with that. Okay, speaking of happy, I need to move around. My leg is starting to atrophy here, so I'm going to do a little moving around, folks. We will see you later. Probably not later today. I don't know. Maybe I'll broadcast later today. I was hoping to actually maybe go see my parents today, so we'll see what happens. I'll check in with them and take myself a test and see if I'm